Welcome to this morning's session, which is on choosing the right Find the Solution internship for you. My name is Aaron McKenna. I'm one of the career development consultants within the Careers, Employability and Opportunity team. And I'm also delighted to be joined by two of our peer career supporters, Keris and Ian, who you will see putting links in the chat. And we'll also hear from them a little later on as well about their reflections on applying for roles as part of the Student Opportunities Hub, overcoming imposter syndrome, and also telling you about how you can get some support with your applications from the peer career support team. So I will put this slide up for about 20 seconds for anyone who's not managed to download a copy of the slide yet to follow as we go or look at thereafter. I will share these again at the end, and you'll also have the link in the chat to refer to. So, as part of today's session, we're going to focus on four things. So, we're going to look at analysing a find a solution job description and identify the key skills and criteria. With the find a solution program, if anyone's had a look at the roles already, there's 48 paid roles, so quite a few to choose from. What that entails is really thinking about what roles are most applicable to you, what you would get the most out of, who you're a best fit for in terms of not only the organisation but the role itself. So we're going to take a look at how to look at the job descriptions and really decide on which ones to focus your attention on. We're going to look at reflecting on transferable skills from academic, work, and lived experiences to support your application. And this is a really key thing with the Find a Solution programme. They're really not only looking at your academic experience and skills associated with that, but your wider work and lived experiences as to why you resonate with their cause and why you would make a good fit to join their organisation for this internship. In doing so, you'll be able to make informed decisions about which internships to prioritise. And finally, we're going to look at applying strategies to manage imposter feelings when selecting roles. And a lot of that comes with reflecting on your own skills, knowledge, and experience, and really just being able to articulate why you want the job or why you want the opportunity. And that will help you overcome any feelings of kind of self-doubt as well. So these are the four areas that we're going to focus on this morning. So, first of all, I just wanted to give a very quick overview of the Find the Solution program. We're going to pop a link in the chat which will give you all the information you need about the program itself and all of the information in more detail. Within that link, you'll also find sign up links to two further sessions that we're running, which is on how to make a strong application. So we're really going to go into a lot more detail on when you're thinking about writing an application, how you can make yourself stand out and kind of the do's and don'ts. I will cover that a little bit today, but that there is a full session dedicated to that. And there's also another session on interviews and how to be successful at the interview stage. So that's what you will find on the link, along with all this other information in more detail. So the Find a Solution program is paid summer internships pairing you with charity and third sector organisations. So these are internships offered between June and August. You can work flexibly, as discussed with the organisation, and you can work up to 160 hours. Um, Most of these organisations are based in Glasgow. We have some that which are Stirling or Edinburgh based, but the vast majority are Greater Glasgow, and they will offer some kind of in-organisation presence or working from home as well. So it really just depends on the size of that organisation and how they work. But these are real unique opportunities to work on a specific project with real impact. And as you might have experienced, if you've been applying for summer internships, round about this time of year, there isn't many left still to apply for. So it's really great that we can offer this programme where you've got 48 paid opportunities to work with organisations, a lot of which are small in size but have real impact within society. And they're really great opportunities to bolster your CV and really think about where you want to go with your career. So we're going to touch on all those things as we move through the session. So why apply to the Find the Solution program? So for anyone who's had a look through the various roles already, I kind of hope you're kind of getting a sense of all these things already. But just to make these kind of crystal clear, so each of these internships has real impact and the opportunity to work with a purpose-driven kind of organization. So each of these internships have been designed to give you transferable skills. Think about what your career might look like in the future. So maybe you've been thinking about that you want to work for a meaningful cause, work for an organization that has real value. And these are all packed within these internships. So you get the opportunity to work in a values-based organization. And maybe that's something that you haven't really thought about before, is thinking about how you can do good through your career. So these are all just some of the reasons why to apply to the Find a Solution program. But I think these are the real kind of USPs about this internship program and why you should consider making an application. And in doing so, think about how you can make a really strong application. And these are all kind of hints as to sort of things that you can mention on your application. So these aren't just buzzwords, these are things that you can mention within the application. You would want to further tailor it to that organisation. But these are all important things to think about. So these are kind of pillars that you can focus on within the application itself. And just to say before I move on to this slide, if you do have any questions as we are moving on through the slides, if you post them in the Q&A, so the chat has been disabled just so that we can post links in there. But if you go to the More option, which I think is on the bottom right of your screen, and then click Q&A, you can ask questions in there. So questions as we go through will be answered by Ian and Keris. And if there is any questions that would be beneficial to answer to the wider group, then we'll do that during the question breaks. So yeah, please, any questions as we go, please ask them through the Q&A. What you're seeing on your screen just now is some reflections from both students who participated in the programme last year and employers who had a project. So I won't read all of these, but please don't just take my word for it. These are really fantastic internship opportunities. And I think I'll focus on the student kind of reflections. So someone reflected and said that they were given plenty of opportunities to explore and develop their skills across various different areas, so communication, research, and in the e-commerce field. Um, One other reflected that rather than being limited to routine tasks, they were actively encouraged to engage with projects that aligned with their interests. And I think this is another selling point about the Find the Solution program is often you're working as part of a smaller team. So whereas with a bigger corporate firm, you might be kind of working with a small team, but as part of a much larger organization, these Find a Solution internships present a real opportunity to engage with all staff within that charity. So you could be actually working very closely with the CEO, which a lot of the internship programs explicitly mention that you'll be doing. You might be working with managers within that department or people who have multi kind of faceted roles. So I hope this gives you the sense that you won't just be doing the specific roles as advertised. You probably will get exposed to a vast wide a range of other things as well during your internship. So I just wanted to highlight some common mistakes or even student challenges when it comes to applying for the Find the Solution program. So if you've had a look at these 48 roles already, you will notice that quite a few have specific criteria as to which school or college you need to be a part of. So some of the organisations requested students from particular kind of background or with a particular degree focus. Some are looking at undergraduates or some are looking at postgraduates as well. So please check the eligibility criteria for the internship that you're interested in. This is one of the most common reasons that we see people are unsuccessful. So even if you write a really strong application and articulate why you want to work for that company, unfortunately, if you aren't eligible to work for that organisation, due to the criteria associated with that internship, then you won't be able to, your application won't be able to progress. So please check the eligibility criteria. One of the other things that is a common mistake on Find a Solution internships, and generally for other internship opportunities as well, is over focusing on degree relevance. So, as kind of mentioned already, that these opportunities aren't just considering your degree, they're really looking at people to be able to articulate why they resonate with that charity, that cause, their specific values, and their kind of purpose. So, that won't only come from your degree. In a lot of cases, it won't come from your degree at all. It might come from other things that you're interested in, so passions. So please don't just focus on your degree. If your degree is relevant, then great. If you've done modules within that, if you've done any projects associated with this sort of work, then absolutely do mention it, but don't only focus on that. Another key thing that we see is students not tailoring their applications. And within this, what we mean is limited aligning with that charity, that kind of role, and that kind of organisation's purpose. And when we come on to look at one of the example role descriptions, you'll see what I mean by that. So you've got the kind of headline job profile or job title, but what these charities are actually looking for is for you to articulate why you want to work for them and contribute to their organisation. And these are kind of principles that you can take forward when submitting other applications, whether it be for graduate roles, other internships, part-time jobs, etc. Really thinking about why you want to work for that kind of broader organisation and what you can bring. And the final thing that I would say here is students often underestimate their own wide-ranging experience. So don't just focus on experience or skills from part-time jobs or volunteering. Think about things like societies, whether you've had a position of responsibility or not, volunteering, any life experiences. So if you are someone who has, for example, experience living with a disability, if you have had caring responsibilities, if you have been the first in your family to go to university, if you've returned to university at a later stage in life, then these are all things that these organisations want to hear about. So please mention it on your application and don't be scared of kind of doing that. So what I would ask you to consider when you're looking through these roles and starting to think about applying is consider what you're hoping to achieve from these opportunities. So, is it contributing to a meaningful cause? Is it demonstrating impact through the work that you do? Is it gaining clear career clarity? And if so, that's absolutely fine. As I kind of mentioned before, if you're hoping that one of these opportunities will give you the experience to think about what it's like and see the realities of working in a charity and how that might help your career direction thereafter, then absolutely mention that as part of your application. And that is absolutely a reason to think about applying to one of these roles. Is it to develop transferable skills? If so, great, but mention what transferable skills that is. So have a look at the job description, have a look at the role overview, and pick out those transferable skills that they say that you're going to mention, or sorry, say that you're going to develop, and then mention those on your application. If it's purely to gain experience, then again, that is absolutely fine. But think about articulating that in a stronger way. So what experience exactly will you get through working with that organisation, and how will that help you going forward? So, when it comes to shortlisting roles to apply for, there's 48 different opportunities ranging from research, data analysis, social media, film heritage, events, and lots more. So, one of the challenges you might have, like I did when I was looking through the roles, is thinking, well, what exactly would I be best suited to apply for here? First, check that you're eligible for the specific role that you're interested in. These will relate to your college or school. They're not degree specific, and also mode of study. So some will only be open to undergrads, some will be open to postgrads. And for the postgrads, some will even be specific around postgraduate research or a taught degree. So please just check that as well. This is a really important point. So you can apply for multiple roles. So consider which positions you can submit a really strong application for. And we would recommend that you shortlist and prioritise up to 5 roles. So you don't want to be applying for any more than 5 of these opportunities. If you're making 5 applications, that will take you time. If you're tailoring your applications properly, like you should, to be shortlisted for interview, again, that will take you time. And there is only a 2 week window to apply for these. So submitting 5 applications is a big commitment. So instead, really think about what roles you most align with in terms of both the organisation and the role. So really be strict with yourself and only apply for those roles which you feel that you personally resonate with and will give you the experience that you're looking for. And that just links to the second last point on this slide. So remember, you need to show alignment with both the organisation and the role, and we'll focus on that in a few slides' time. And remember, there will be a role for everyone, but how will you make your application stand out? So these are all things to start thinking about. And as I said, don't only focus on degrees related to your background, degree, previous jobs, or volunteering. And what I would like you to kind of switch your mindset is from this kind of old style of thinking, which this isn't related to my degree, so therefore I can't apply, to what skills and experience will I gain? And charity and third sector organisations don't want to just hear about your motivations due to your degree or previous roles. They really want to hear about what exactly from your experiences, passions, and interests has shaped why you want to join them. Um, and consider wider roles such as carer responsibilities, your education journey, life events, as to why that makes you a good fit for that organisation. So I just want to take a quick break to answer any questions that have maybe come into the Q&A or any that we feel would be good to answer live. So I'll just hold on this slide for maybe 30 seconds to see if we do get any more questions coming in.
One of the students has asked about, they said, is the program open for international students as well, or is it only for UK students? And then they followed up saying, I see that some positions involve mainly remote work. On the other hand, my student visa expires on July or in July. Do you have anything that you would say to that other than talking to the student support team about the options?
Yeah, so, definitely speaking to the international student support team, particularly if you do have any concerns around your specific visa and when that expires. But yeah, just that's a really good question, just to emphasise that these opportunities are absolutely open to international students as well. What I would say is if your student visa expires at the end of July, that might not restrict you from applying for these because thereafter you can start thinking about what other visas you can apply for. So speak to the international student support team about when you start making those applications for kind of post-study work visas, if you like the graduate route visa. So yeah, I wouldn't rule yourself out from applying on that basis, but do check with the international student support team about if you're still eligible to work after your student visa expires. I just see another question about other internships, mostly for postgraduates. And as Keris has answered, there's a wide range of different opportunities. Um, so just check the specific criteria.
We've also got a question about the hiring process and how many steps will, like, just like a general overview of how many steps there will be in the application process.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'm going to focus on that towards the end of the session, but if anyone's had a look, so what we ask for as part of the application process is for you to basically tell us about your motivations for this role. So that is a motivation statement. And then we also ask for you to tell us about the how you meet each of the essential and desirable criteria. So there's kind of two parts to the application, your general motivation statement, and then also how you meet the essential and desirable criteria. So I think for most of the roles, there's about five essential criteria, and maybe a few desirable criteria. So what you want to do as part of that is go through each of the criteria and explicitly say how you meet that. So for example, if the first criteria was um, communicating in a team, you want to have that as a heading and then explicitly say how you meet that. So that's the application itself. And then I believe the student opportunities team will be sifting those applications received. We'll be sending over the best kind of shortlisted candidates to the organisation itself, and then they will arrange an interview with you. So it's an application and then an interview with the charity. My understanding is the charity will only have mainly have one interview with you. Some may have more than one, if they have quite a number of applicants or candidates they want to interview. So application and interview is a short answer to that one.
We then also have two questions which I think would be best answered together. So it's
Yeah.
when you're a first year, if you've technically finished by May, would you then be considered a second year for the role? And similarly, if you were a third year, because it will be over summer, will you be technically a third year or a fourth year?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So what your current year of study is what you apply and what you look at in terms of eligibility criteria. So if you're a first year going into second year, at the moment, at the time of your application, you'll still be a first year student. Same with a third year student going into fourth year after summer. So on that basis, you would be first and third year. So yeah, go with your current year of study. Thank you for all of those questions. Some of those aren't covered in the slide, so that's really helpful to ask and get an answer for. Please keep those questions coming in. We'll have another break for questions in a few slides' time. Okay, so let's now have a look at how to read a role description. So each Find the Solution internship overview lists a number of things. So the main duties and responsibilities, the expected outcomes, the essential and desirable criteria, what makes this internship stand out, and then there's also a section about the role and organisation. So that one there where I've put about includes values, purpose, mission, and underline is the section which I would actually really encourage you to focus on the most. So this is where you can get a real sense of that organisation and you can really show your research about them and kind of alignment with their kind of cause, values, mission, etc. So that's a section which I would really say to pay the most attention to. So whilst the essential and desirable criteria you will need to address, think about that role in the organisation. And some of them might describe that a bit differently. So some of them will really explicitly say this is our values. Some will say this is our purpose. So really take note of that language and think about, well, how can I kind of translate that into why I want to work for the organisation and be given the chance of this opportunity. So, as I've said on the slide, use all of this information to form part of your motivation statement. And I've just got one example on the screen here. So this example is taken from starter packs who are looking for, let me just remind myself, this is for the data role. Let me get the specific title. I think it's data analysis. So on the face of it, you would then think, okay, this is only open to someone who has technical abilities, and kind of analytical skills. But actually, what they're looking for is someone who also is a clear and adaptable communicator. They're asking for someone who has empathy and understanding of social issues, is highly organised and self-motivated. And crucially, they're asking for someone who's interested in impact, charity work, and real-world application. So this is a really good example for looking at and thinking about what is this role asking for, but actually what is the sort of person that they're looking to come on board. And it highlights that this is not just a technical role, it also involves research, stakeholder engagement, impact communication, and support and strategic development. So, with any of these roles, don't just look at the kind of title and dismiss it. Um, think about that wider organisation's purpose and what they're trying to achieve. So it says Starter Packs Glasgow operates with a strong ethos of unconditional positive regard, a commitment to treating every person with dignity, respect, and compassion. If you look at the title of this role, where it's asking for data analysis, you might not necessarily think about that and make that connection. But that's why it's really important to go through each of the roles and think more broadly about what they're looking for. And all of these things are things that you should be mentioning on the application. And instead of saying where others do in terms of their values, this one says with a core purpose rooted in poverty relief and social well-being. This is what starter packs do. So it's really important that you read that full job description. So with that, how do you break down an opportunity? So before you decide to go ahead and apply, take some time to go through your shortlisted roles and both reflect and document what skills will you develop through the role. Why would this organisation want you? So based on all the things I've mentioned so far, and think about what unique qualities, interests, experiences, and skills make you the best fit. And crucially, what about that organisation's purpose, values, and culture makes them the right fit for you? So these are all things to think about. I can't stress this enough. So motivation for these opportunities really matters. So more so than any other sector, charities don't just focus on experience or current skills. And this is a really key differentiator for this internship program. So what they're really looking for is passion for their cause, alignment with their values, and genuine motivation. So these are things that only come from you, and you probably will really need to do a good bit of reflection and think about what is it actually about these opportunities that makes me want it so much. What is it about this internship opportunity over the other 47 has made me really notice it and pay attention to it. And I just want to highlight that this isn't something that AI or generative AI can articulate in terms of your own motivation. So whilst you can put prompts in there to help you think about why you want this internship or different ways of thinking about it, it can't articulate your values and interests. So if you are going to use generative AI to help you think about your application, please do so ethically. If the Student Opportunities Hub team suspect that you have used AI within your application, it will harm your application progressing. So things that they've seen in the past are people copying and pasting and putting the prompts in from generative AI to the actual application itself. So please think about using it ethically if you are going to use it. Think about how it can help you reflect on why you want an opportunity rather than it giving you the reasons why you're applying. So that's only things that can come from you. And in the chat, we're going to post a link to um, a section of our website which thinks about using generative AI within your career development. And within that, it talks about using it within an application. So this slide is all looking at making smart shortlisting choices. So unfortunately, you can't apply to everything, even if you might want to. There is 48 different roles, but you won't be able to apply for each of those. You simply wouldn't have the time. So what I would say is explore all the roles widely first. So even though some might jump out at you, really read through the different job descriptions and job overviews, as there might just be something that you hadn't considered that is a skill you really want to develop, or as a skill that you have that you want to have more experience of, or as a skill that you haven't had the chance to focus on. And this creates a real unique opportunity to do that. And what I would suggest you do is narrow down up to your top five and consider within these roles values alignment, personal motivation, skills you have which will help you be successful, and skills you'll develop. And thinking about the above will not only help when writing your motivation statement, but it will also help when you come to preparing for an interview as well. Now, what we're going to move on to is something which is very common among students, even graduates, even experienced professionals, is overcoming imposter feelings. So there'll even be things that, I will see that I want to maybe do as a volunteering opportunity or a personal development opportunity, and I think, oh, is this actually a good fit for me? Do I have the skills or the knowledge? But these are just quick reminders to help you reshape your thinking. So the first one we have is I'm not qualified. So as I hope you're getting the impression from these opportunities aren't thinking about your qualifications. They aren't thinking about what degree classification you're going to get. They're not even necessarily thinking about the experience or skills you've already got. They're thinking about your potential and why you want to do a good job for that opportunity. So please don't consider your qualifications when you're thinking about making an application. The second statement we have here is others are better. That might be the case, but the organisation is really interested in working with you specifically. So think about all the unique things that make you a good fit for that organisation, which others simply won't have. So crucial things here will be life experiences, lived experiences as well of kind of the causes which these charities and organisations are advocating for are working towards. So these are all things to think about. Another real one that we hear very often is I don't have everything that they're asking for. So if you look at the essential desirable criteria and there's maybe one or two that you don't meet, that's okay. Don't discount yourself from applying for that role. Think about other ways that you can talk about that criteria they're looking for. So, for example, if they say that you are take the starter packs one, for example, where they're looking at data analysis. If you haven't had extensive experience doing that yet, or it isn't even an area of focus for you just now, you can still talk about your interest in that area, particularly within that charity or that space, and talk about how you would go about it, what you know about it, or what kind of tools or programs you would use to help you, or even in the period between applying and being invited to interview, what you would do to kind of upskill yourself. So these are all kind of things to think about, and that goes for the same if I've no previous experience in this area. The charities and third sector organisations who are thinking about your applications and fit for that role aren't thinking about your previous experience. They're thinking about what you can do for them in the future. And reframing negative thoughts. So, as I said, you don't need to meet every single essential or desirable criteria. Um, and although you must meet the eligibility criteria, um, in terms of like if you're within the correct school or college or doing the correct mode of study, like undergraduate or postgraduate, please don't be put off by the essential and desirable criteria for that specific role. So instead, focus on your potential, your motivation, your alignment with that purpose and the role, and also crucially the transferable skills that you'll gain as you move through that opportunity. So when you come to think about transferable skills, what I would encourage you to think about is draw upon skills from your academic degree, and in the next slide we're going to look at how you can do that if you haven't done so already. As I mentioned, think about your lived experience. So whether it's caring responsibilities, experience with a disability, experience with financial hardship, experience being first in your family to go to university, experience with the justice system, whatever it may be, think about your lived experience and how that relates to the opportunity. Think about volunteering roles you've had, part-time opportunities, engagement with societies, professional development with short-term courses, maybe attending a conference. So all of these things will really help your application and help highlight your transferable skills and alignment with that opportunity. Think about feedback on your personal qualities from peers, friends, and family. And all of these things will really help make a stronger application. So when it comes to exploring the skills from your degree, there's various different ways you can do that. So at the University of Glasgow, academics are starting to think about embedding the skills that you'll get from specific modules and courses into their module descriptions, and you'll find that within various of your module handbooks. So on this slide, I've just got one example. This is from a geological skills module. Um, but have a look at your module handbooks if it isn't something you've looked at for a while, and that will really help you think about the different skills you're getting from each of your courses. One that we are spotlighting on the slides here is the Prospects website, and specifically the What Can I Do with My Degree guides. So each of you will find a degree guide on the Prospects website, um, which is related to your area of study. And within those pages, it talks about the skills for your CV. So if you've not yet been thinking about the sort of skills that you have, which are relevant to your degree, or what you'll have after or during completion of your studies, this is a really good place to start. And I've also put some other areas that you can look at. So professional bodies, the QAA benchmark statements, and as I mentioned as well, there's also the link to having a look at your module handbook as well. But as a starting point, I would really encourage you to look at prospects if it's not a resource that you're already familiar with. And then reflecting on your skills from elsewhere can sometimes be a little bit more difficult. So I've got some suggestions here on this slide. So revisit your CV, even your personal statement for your course, and previous applications for various opportunities where you'd have had to talk about your motivation and the skills that you have which make you a good fit for that course or that opportunity. We also have a short kind of self-reflection course or pathway that you can complete called I Don't Know What to Do After University. So within this, you're asked to think about your skills and values, and we'll pop a link to it in the chat if you've not came across it already. But this is a short course that you can work through in your own time to help you think about what skills you have or what skills you need to develop and what your unique values are. You can also book a career coaching appointment with myself or one of the other career development consultants. And this is a 45-minute guidance discussion where we can think about your experiences from different areas, not just from your degree, but maybe your education journey, other things you've done around your course to really help you think about what skills you have. So if you're not sure, book one of our career coaching appointments. And you can also attend further Find a Solution application support sessions, which are both being run by our peer career support team, and also my colleague Michelle in the next few weeks. And on this slide, we have some other resources you can use to continue reflecting and developing your skills. So some of you might have heard of Myers-Briggs, which is a personality tool which helps you think about your unique traits, skills, and values. And I've got some other resources you can use here on the slide as well. One of the crucial resources that we have is we have cards called What's Your Strength? And these are really good at thinking about or revealing strengths and skills that you have from different experiences. So they have things, for example, having caring responsibilities, managing a disability or health condition. If you, for example, play games, are involved in sports, have hobbies, and it really spells out the kind of strengths and skills you have relevant to each of these. So if you want to have a look at these or have a go, visit our peer career support team or attend one of our upcoming in-person sessions to reflect using these tools and the cards, which are really great. Okay, so I'm just going to take another quick pause for questions. Do we have anything that's come in that would be good to answer live?
I have a question. So I tried applying to like few internships. They do not ask for your CV. So like on what basis do they select students? Like on the motivational
hmm
criteria or the essential like
And Eliza, thanks for your question. Is this for the Find a Solution program?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we aren't asking for you to upload your CV, and there's various reasons for that. Some students might not have a CV, but also we're really looking at your motivation for this opportunity. So yeah, to answer your question, they will be selecting which applicants to take forward to interview based on your motivation and also the essential and desirable criteria.
Mm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We also have a question about references in the application, and if you don't have references, what kind of things can you do?
That is a good question. I haven't looked at the full application form, so I don't know if it asks for references. Um, if it does ask for references, you can ask various people. So it could be someone from a part-time job, volunteering organisation, one of your lecturers who you have a close relationship with. Um, those are just some suggestions. If you're struggling with the references, there is contact details for the Student Opportunities Hub on each of the opportunities. So if you do have any specific questions like that about your own circumstances, um, get in touch with them and ask, and they'll be able to help with that. I will try and find the email for the Student Opportunities Hub, and pop that in the chat before the end of the session as well. But that was a good question. Thank you for that.
For reference, I've seen that they definitely have some of the applications. I know Venture Scotland ask for 2 references, but they
Okay.
do specify that academic references are just as acceptable.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're struggling, if you don't have work experience, or it's been some time since your last kind of volunteering or anything like that, then yeah, think about academic experiences, even things like society work. So if you're part of a society, ask the president of the society to give a reference to you, um, and we can absolutely consider that as well. But for any specific questions on things like references, I would encourage you to get in touch with the Student Opportunities team. Okay, so let's move on to our next session and section, and I'm going to pass over to the peer career support team. So, Keris and Ian to give some reflections on supporting students with roles they're applying to in the Student Opportunities Hub, and also overcoming imposter feelings when exploring opportunities and making applications.
Hi, I'm Ion. I'm one of the peer career supporters, and with me is Karis. And she'll talk a little bit more generally about our role, but we thought we'd share some reflections. I found this role that as a peer career supporter through the Student Opportunities Hub, and the job postings follow a really specific structure, so I found the process straightforward. They outline the criteria and the skills, providing a clear structure to your application as a whole, making it a very straightforward process and being clear about what they're asking for. In this role, Karis and I have supported students with all kinds of different applications and different sectors, and I really enjoyed it. In regards to find a solution specifically, people might dismiss it because it's a third sector, but I think it's more than that. One of the opportunities mentioned working with the CEO, which would be really cool and is something you might not find working in a traditional internship. So I would encourage all of you to keep an open mind and to explore these options. In regards to imposter syndrome, I am currently a student, and so I do have experience with this feeling. What helped me most was realizing that you never know what recruiters are looking for, who's applying, and what you have that someone else might not. So I encourage all of you to put your best foot forward. Erin, when we discussed imposter syndrome, made some really good points, and I encourage you to remember that. And I also emphasize the importance of reframing your negative thoughts. In the end, these final solutions are wonderful opportunities, and you don't know what will happen if you don't try. So put your best foot forward and apply to everything that you feel passionate about and that you really want. That's all from me. So, Karis.
It's always best to apply and kind of take the shot, because if you don't apply, you're definitely not going to get the role. So it's worth giving it a go and seeing how far you get, because you'll probably get further than you think you are going to get. The peer career support team, we are here to help with all of that. So we offer drop-in services Monday to Friday, 9 to 4:30 in the Fraser building. We are working on slightly different operating hours over the Easter break and over the holidays. So do keep an eye on the Instagram, U of G Careers, for kind of updates on that. Alternatively, there are signs outside the door. We've also got 20-minute bookable appointments online that you can get access to through the Student Opportunities Hub and book into them the same way that you booked into this event. And those kind of appointments will be worked the exact same. So we can do CV reviews, we can do application checks, we can go through your motivations for applying and help you find ones that you want to apply to, and just generally kind of assist in the entire process. And out with this Find a Solution internships, we can also do LinkedIn profiles, networking, reviews, and kind of just help with general job searching and any kind of basic career query that you might have. If you're also not sure where to go, like whether or not to book in with the Student Professional Development team, what you can do is you can come to us and we can help signpost to those relevant resources.
Thank you so much, Keris and Ian. Some really great reflections there about overcoming imposter feelings, the kind of value of these internships, and both of their own reflections on making applications through the Student Opportunities Hub. And absolutely, if you need any support with your application, please visit the Peer Career Support team. We have some application review sessions coming up with the Peer Career Support team. So those are on your screen just now. So you don't need to book a time, just come along. Those are going to be on Wednesday, the 8th of April and Monday, the 13th of April, both between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. If you can't make those slots, you can book an online appointment. So there'll be additional online appointments between the 1st and the 14th of April. So here they'll help you think about your motivation statement, if you've addressed all the criteria that is within the application, and perhaps anything else that you haven't mentioned, which would really strengthen your application. So if you do want to have your application reviewed, and I would strongly encourage you to do that, please come along and get this support from the Peer Career Support team. Now, we do have another session coming up next week on making a strong application, which I'm going to signpost you all to in a second. But I did just want to mention some key things if you are wanting to start thinking about drafting an application before attending that session or before attending an application review session. So within the application, as I mentioned, they are looking for you to address each of the essential and desirable criteria. So the best way to do that is to take each criteria in turn and explicitly talk about how you meet that. So as you can see this example on the screen, so if essential criteria 5 was experience of multidisciplinary team working, this is how you would lay it out. And you can still use the STAR technique when answering this, when kind of responding to this criteria. So this is just an example to give you some inspiration. So this is based on being on the committee of a student society, and what you really want to think about is telling them briefly about the situation and your task, telling them what action you took, and the result of that as well. And in a few slides' time, I'm going to encourage you to actually reflect on that and put that within your answer as well. In most cases, this is the best way to structure your statement. And the benefit of it is it's incredibly easy for the employers to follow and mark what you've written. You can use same headings in each section of your statement, and I would encourage you to do that. So literally take or lift the criteria from the job description and put that on your statement. Make it really easy for them to see which criteria you're referring to. There is some other ways you can do it, depending on your writing style. I would encourage you to use the example from the previous slide, but other ways you can do it are through reference points. So if you are kind of someone who likes to write more free flowing, then just make it clear or indicate within that paragraph which criteria this relates to. So for example, E1 or D1, etc. So that's not using a heading, but having it within the paragraph itself. You can use it at the end of a paragraph as well. So for example, with this one, they have made it clear at the end that this is demonstrating how they meet a certain criteria or skill that they're looking for. But even within the last one, still add in E1, D1, etc. So make it really, really clear. And I've mentioned using the STAR method. So this is how you can use the STAR method effectively. So, and it gives weighting to each part of your answer. So the action is the most important aspect as well as the result. But what I would also get you to think about is using STAR plus, so two R's. Can you link the example or criteria point back to the duties of the role you're applying to? So, for example, I can use my communication skills to effectively build relationships with partner charities and other stakeholders. So, add in reflection really enriches the quality of your example. We've got an example on the slides here from gov.uk about using the STAR technique effectively within your answer. So please look at this and other examples that we have on our website as well. And just a signpost to the upcoming other sessions that we have to support you with your applications for Find a Solution. So this session is the first one. The next one is coming up on Tuesday, and that is writing a Find a Solution internship application. So that's going to go into a lot more detail about how you can make a strong application. So it'll go into more detail about some of the things I've mentioned about referring to the criteria, talking about your motivation statements, etc. So before you submit your application, or before you even start an application, I would encourage you to go along to that session, which will be um, delivered by my colleague Michelle. And there's a link on the slides and the QR code to allow you to book in for those. We then have the peer career support session, which we've just mentioned, which is application reviews. And then finally, on Wednesday, the 15th of April, so important to note this is after the deadline for the applications. This is going to be thinking about preparing for a Find a Solution internship interview. So you might not have heard by that point if you've been invited to interview. That's okay. I would still encourage you to come along to that session. And hopefully you'll be invited to an interview for the application you've submitted. But otherwise, there'll be some great tips in here for other interviews that you'll be invited to. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left, so just some final thoughts from me. So remember to align to the role and the opportunity, show your motivation and values. Think about your skills and experience development, and the right match for you might not be most immediately obvious. So explore all the roles widely. Remember that we have various upcoming sessions to support you. And importantly, these charity and third sector organisations want to work with you. So there's a reason why they have chosen to partner with us through the Find a Solution scheme. So please remember that when it comes to writing your applications. On this slide, I've got some other resources that will help you. So our website is packed with resources to support you when thinking about writing an application. One other key resource I would highlight at this point is Good Moves, which is job opportunities in the charity and third sector. And they have resources on submitting strong applications to this sector as well. And the URL that I'm highlighting here is some recorded webinars where they spotlight careers in the third sector in some different areas, including housing, um, advocacy, the environmental sector as well. And within that, there's professionals within each of these areas who talk about how to make a strong application. So some additional resources for you to have a look at there. Now, I'm just going to quickly skip past this other question break, just in the interest of time. I will pick up any questions that are come into the Q&A afterwards. What I would really encourage you to do is if you could spare 30 seconds to give us some feedback. So this is the first time that we've run this session and offering these application support sessions for the Find a Solution program. So if you can take 30 seconds to give us some feedback, it would be really appreciated for how we can improve these sessions going forward, or if there's anything that we have missed, particularly for this first session on how to select a Find a Solution internship to apply for. So we've got a question that's came in, which is, are there sites you advise optimizing for different skill sets like digital literacy? One that I would recommend would be LinkedIn Learning. So the University of Glasgow has a subscription to LinkedIn Learning, and there is thousands of courses. The last time I checked, there was up to 30,000 courses that you can do on various topics. So have a look at LinkedIn Learning for that one. But yes, please spare a second to give us some feedback. It will really help us think about what went well with our session and what could be improved for future. And it will take you literally 30 seconds. And the session that you're attending today is the first one on the drop down list. So thank you for giving up your time this morning to attend this session. I hope that's been useful to help you think about and apply for opportunities and the Find the Solution internship program. It's a program that I'm really excited about. I'm glad that we've brought it back this year. So best of luck with your applications, and please remember that we are here to support you. So I will leave this QR code on your screen to um, access the slides as part of today's session. But yes, thanks again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, and we are done. Oh, let me stop the recording. That would help.